The angel of the Lord declared unto Mary,
and she conceived by the Holy Spirit.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of death. Amen.
Behold the handmaid of the Lord.
Be it done to me according to your word.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of death. Amen.
And the Word was made flesh,
and dwelt amongst us.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of death. Amen.
Pray for us, O Holy Mother of God,
that we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ. Pour forth, we beseech you, O Lord, your grace into our hearts, that we, to whom the incarnation of Christ, your Son, was made known by the message of an angel, may by his passion and cross be brought to the glory of his resurrection, through the same Christ our Lord. Amen.
Kini ang simbianan sa RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS, DXKS, 1080, ang inyong Radio Ronda, 5,000 watts, nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UEPCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS 1080, ang inyong Radio Ronda.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, state volcanologists monitoring Mount Bulusan in Sorsogon as residents who fled after the eruption now hope they can return home soon. An SUV driver who was caught on camera hitting and running over a security guard in Mandaluyong City over the weekend may face frustrated murder charges. And heads up, motorists, gas up now if you can, as another round of hefty fuel price hikes take effect tomorrow. Find out by how much. All eyes on Mount Bulusan in Sorsogon province. State volcanologists say it is uncertain when the volcano will erupt again following its steam-driven explosion yesterday. Speaking to CNN Philippines, PHIVOLC's Director Renato Solidum says it is difficult to detect specific indications of another phreatic eruption.
Mahaba-haba ito pag phreatic eruption. Sometimes the volcano will not explode for several days and then explode again. So we have to be very patient and strictly implement the precautionary measures. It may or may not explode soon, but in the past events or eruption episodes of Bulusan, the interval of eruptions can happen within days, weeks, or even months.
Solidum added Bulusan last recorded phreatic eruptions on March 2 and June 5, 2017, indicating a nearly 3-month interval. Alert level 1 is still up over the volcano, indicating low-level volcanic unrest. Now, that means there is a slight increase in volcanic earthquakes and steam or gas activity, sporadic explosions from existing or new vents, and slight inflation or swelling of the edifice. Well, Bulusan's eruption sent hundreds of nearby residents fleeing for safety. Some of them are now in evacuation centers because of the effect of ash falls on their homes. Our correspondent Stanley Gaheta joins us live from Sorsogon. Stanley, what can you tell us?
Pia, the number of affected residents here in the municipality of Huban who are now at the evacuation center rose from 180 to 299 as of 1 p.m. today. And according to Municipal Risk Reduction Management records, more individuals have decided to escape the possible respiratory effects caused by ashfall. Families receive plenty of supplies which include meals, vitamins and hygiene kits, both from the local government and concerned organizations. Children are entertained by volunteers. This evacuation center has dividers to ensure privacy of each evacuated family. Enough folding beds are also provided for the evacuees. But evacuees like Villa Gonzalez still hope they could return to their homes soon.
May bigas, mga dilata, gamot ngayon. Hindi naman kami nagsisiksikan. Mas maluwag dito sa lugar ko napasukan. Pinakakulang lang talaga tubig.
Ngayon nga, nakausap ko yung isang barangay official, humingi pa ng karagdagang transportation assistance dahil may 4 pang pamilya na nais lumikas sa lugar na ito.
The local government of Huban plans to augment its capacity by utilizing its local gym.
Ngayon o susunod na araw ay bubuksan na namin yung Huban Gymnasium para po sa pagtanggap ng mga bagong evacuees.
Despite the expected increase, Governor Chis Escudero says he's not declaring a state of calamity as they can still manage the situation at least as of today.
Supisente, sapat ang pondo ng lalawigan dahil ito ang una namang kalamidad ng lalawigan sa taong ito. So sufficient at hindi pa nagagalaw ang calamity fund ng lalawigan para sa mga bagay tulad nito.
CNN Philippines managed to reach Barangay Puting Sapa, which is within the danger zone. Ashfall is all over the place. Police officers and soldiers along with residents who opted to stay behind are cleaning up the mess.
Malaki ang epekto nito kasi yung mga gulay, pangunahing pinagkukunan ng pang-ulam-ulam namin dito sa araw-araw. Matagal siguro makarecover.
Even rivers and animals were affected. A branch of a tree fell on a residential house due to a heavy volume of ashes.
Pag nagtuloy-tuloy yan ang problema. Dahil yung hanap buhay, maperisyon.
While the volcano's behavior continues to be erratic, authorities remind the public that entry into the 4-kilometer radius permanent danger zone is strictly prohibited. Vigilance within the 2-kilometer extended danger zone on the southeast sector is also exercised. Fine ashfall can cause irritation and breathing problems, most especially among the vulnerable population like the elderly, children, expectant mothers, and those with respiratory disorders. The local government still can't assess until when evacuees will stay at the evacuation center because there are still recorded earthquakes this morning. But one thing is for sure, they are safe here at the evacuation center against any imminent danger by the volcanic eruption. And that's the latest here in Sorsogon. Back to you, Pia.
Stanley Gaheta there reporting. Help is trickling in for affected residents in Sorsogon. Among those who have sent assistance is the Office of Vice President Lenny Robredo. She posted these photographs on social media. Robredo said her team arrived there this morning and began relief operations in Huban town, where Stanley is, which was most affected by the ashfall. In her post, Robredo also thanked local officials and Governor Chis Escudero for assisting and welcoming her team. The Philippine Red Cross also deploying a number of personnel and volunteers in the province. Aside from assessing damage in affected towns, they also provided hot meals to evacuees. At least 2 more ambassadors have paid a courtesy call on President-elect Bongbong Marcos. Marcos met with Brunei Ambassador Johaira Wahab and Italian Ambassador Marco Clemente on Monday. He's also scheduled to meet with other ASEAN envoys, but we're still awaiting details. This is the 3rd time the President-elect met with top diplomats since May 9. The U.S. Embassy said Marcos will speak with State Deputy Secretary Wendy Sherman during his 10-day visit to ASEAN from June 5th to the 14th. The two are expected to tackle bilateral relations between the Philippines and the U.S. Earlier today, Marcos met with the members of his economic team led by Finance Secretary-designate Benjamin Diokno at his headquarters in Mandaluyong City. The political party of President-elect Marcos spent 272 million pesos during the official campaign period. A lawyer from the Partido Federal ng Pilipinas filed its statement of contributions and expenditures, or SOSE, Monday. Partido Federal's campaign spending remains below the cap set by COMELEC at 337 million pesos, or 5 pesos for every voter.
For this election, we have marami po kaming local candidates, pero ang national candidate po namin ay si President Bongbong Marcos po. TV ads yung majority nito, and also yung sa mga rally expenses siguro.
Marcos still needs to file his own campaign spending report. Under the law, he is allowed to spend up to 674 million pesos, or 10 pesos for every voter. So far, only Senator Ping Lacson has submitted a spending report out of the 10 presidential bets, while senatorial candidates Guillermo Eleazar and Sonny Trillanes have already turned in theirs. Candidates have until Wednesday to file their sources. Anti-Red Tape Authority Chief Jeremiah Bellica and 4 other officials filed an appeal after the Office of the Ombudsman ordered their suspension for 6 months. The officials also submitted their counter-affidavits in the graft case filed by Dito Telecommunications. Dito is accusing these officials of assigning frequencies in favor of telecom company Now, even if it did not participate in the selection process of the National Telecommunications Commission. Ombudsman Samuel Martires says the evidence of their guilt is strong and could warrant their removal from service. But Bellica says ARTA does not have the power to give frequencies or provisional authority. He says it can only assess whether an application is complete. Coming up, what charges await the SUV driver who ran over a security guard in Mandaluyong? We'll get to the bottom of the incident. And fuel prices are set to jump by as much as nearly 7 pesos per liter tomorrow. You're watching CNN Philippines.
Exodus 18:21. But you choose from the people capable men, God-fearing men, men of truth, those who hate bribes, and put them over the people as rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s.
Ang mabuting balita ay hatid sa inyo ng MX3.
Fried chicken? Timplang happy. Tocino? Timplang magandang gising. Inasal? Ito, medyo timplang umuusok. Galit-galitan. Spicy? Timplang hot na hot. With easy-to-cook Magnolia Chicken Timplados. Iba't ibang sarap ng chicken, kaya. Ikaw, anong Magnolia Chicken Timplados mo? Iba't ibang easy chicken sarap.
So many questions about what is the federal government doing. Do you get the anger that is out here? How concerned are you about the front line? You don't believe that there's a racial divide here? Looking back, as president, did you tell the story of race in America enough, do you think? All the places I've been and all the things I've seen, all the people I've talked to, I carry with me. They're part of what I do right here, holding the powerful accountable, keeping them honest.
AC 360, Tuesday through Saturday only on CNN.
Welcome back to Newsnight. Frustrated murder charges may be filed against the SUV driver who hit and ran over a security guard manning traffic in Mandaluyong City over the weekend. Chrissy Di Matulak reports the driver, who has been identified by police, will face transport investigators tomorrow.
From reckless imprudence resulting to physical injuries, authorities are now looking into ramping up the charge against the driver of the white SUV that ran over a security guard in Mandaluyong Sunday afternoon. This comes after a review of the now viral dashcam footage of the incident, according to Mandaluyong City Chief of Police Colonel Mel Unos.
That was the initial investigation that we conducted, reckless imprudence resulting to physical injury. Pero nung review natin yung video that was posted doon sa social media, pwede naming file siya ng frustrated murder due to the circumstances.
The footage shows that security guard identified as Christian Floralde manning traffic at the intersection of J. Vargas Street, corner St. Francis, Barangay Wakwak. As he was stopping vehicles, a white Toyota RAV4 bumped Floralde's side. And instead of stopping to give assistance, the SUV driver proceeded to run over the security guard, with the wheels of the car rolling over his upper body. Authorities say that the attention that the video got made it easier for them to find the suspect.
Napakalaking bagay po yung dashcam na yon na naging basis natin sa initial na information that we needed para dito talaga sa resolution of this case.
After the incident, Floralde was rushed to the intensive care unit of VRP Medical Center to treat his injuries. CNN Philippines spoke to Manuel Saire, the owner of the security agency where Floralde is employed. Saire said Floralde could barely talk because of his injuries.
Marami siyang multiple fracture. That's the reason upon admission sa ICU siya kagad dinala kasi hirap na rin siyang huminga. Yung abdomen niya, yun ang iniinda niya kasi dun siya nadaanan ng sasakyan.
According to Saire, the family of Floralde is having a hard time in keeping with the medical expenses. They are hoping that the driver will not only face time behind bars but will also cover damages, such as medical expenses. The Land Transportation Office says the driver of the SUV must face the Intelligence and Investigation Division of LTO on Tuesday. The license of the driver has been suspended for 90 days and the SUV driver has been asked to submit a comment or explanation. Chrissy de Matulak, CNN Philippines.
Heads up, motorists, you may want to gas up now before fuel prices soar. Yet again tomorrow, diesel prices will go up by nearly 7 pesos a liter, almost 6 pesos per liter for kerosene and close to 3 pesos for gasoline. While the country saw a few pump price rollbacks this year, increasing global demand for fuel keeps prices high. Transport groups are appealing to the government for help a day before fuel companies increase prices yet again. They aired their concerns about an existing law and the incoming Transportation Secretary to President-elect Bongbong Marcos. Page of Air has the details.
Some transport groups are calling on the incoming administration to review the oil deregulation law because of another impending increase in prices of fuel products, especially diesel.
Dalawa yung ating panawagan. Sa immediate, amindahan yung provision ng oil deregulation law at ipasura yung ODL.
LTOP President Orlando Marquez appeals to oil companies. Listen to your conscience and not just look at profits.
Hindi naman totally na gusto ko na maalis ang deregulation law dahil mayroon naman itinatakda ng batas na maganda, mabuti sa ating bansa. Kaso nga lang ay naaabuso.
Calls for amendments are not new, as the Energy Department is seemingly powerless in regulating prices of fuel products. The DOE says its hands are tied with price increases, but it tried to make oil companies be more transparent. Pasang Masa President Obet Martin says jeepney and bus operators will meet to discuss this on Monday. Piston's requests to President-elect Bongbong Marcos amend the oil deregulation law and look into Petron and the Malampaya gas field to address the price increase. The group also calls for a review of the POV Modernization Act, which they say is a burden for the sector.
Tayo naman ay hindi tumututol sa usapin ng modernization. Ang tinutulan natin dito ay yung maling eksima ng pamamaraan ng DOTR, ng LTFRB.
While Marcos has yet to name a transportation secretary, Piston is against the reported retaining of Art Tugade as DOTR chief. As for LTOP, they appeal for knowledgeable leaders to be appointed in DOTR and its attached agencies.
Wag na naman sanang maglagay ng isang chairman ng LTFRB na walang karanasan at pag-aaralan na naman kung paano na naman kami pahihirapan.
At hamon natin kay BBM, ang hamon natin sa kanya, ang ilagay niya sa DOTR, ilagay niya sa LTFRB, sa LTO, ay galing sa sektor ng public transport para alam nila yung kabuuang problemang kinakaharap nito.
Paige Javier, CNN Philippines.
News overseas, another deadly weekend in the United States. 6 mass shootings claiming more than 10 lives and injuring many more in just one day. CNN's Cole Higgins reports.
24 hours of deadly shootings across the U.S.
I'm tired of standing in front of you talking about guns and bodies.
In Chattanooga, Tennessee, 3 people are dead and at least 14 injured after a shooting outside a nightclub. Police say some victims were hit by bullets, others by vehicles fleeing the chaos. It's the second mass shooting in the city in the past week. In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 3 people are dead and at least 11 more injured after police say several people opened fire into a crowd in the popular South Street district.
There were hundreds of individuals just enjoying South Street, as they do every single weekend when this shooting broke out.
And in Mesa, Arizona, 2 people are dead and 2 others injured after a shooting outside a bar. Nearby in Phoenix, 1 person is dead and 8 others injured following a shooting outside a strip mall. In Lexington, Kentucky, police say 1 person is dead and another injured after a shooting at a funeral. To the southeast, in Somerton, South Carolina, law enforcement there says 1 woman is dead and 7 teenagers injured after someone opened fire on a high school graduation party. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill facing intense pressure to act in the wake of nationwide gun violence.
Something in the space of expanding background checks, I think is certainly is on the table, and I hope will be part of a final package.
I've never been part of negotiations as serious as these. There are more Republicans at the table talking about changing our gun laws and investing in mental health than at any time since Sandy Hook.
I'm Cole Higgins reporting.
The U.S. House is set to vote on the wide-ranging package of gun control called Protecting Our Kids Act. Russian President Vladimir Putin threatening to strike new targets in Ukraine if the U.S. provides long-range missiles to Ukrainian forces. Putin said supplying new weapons to the capital, Kyiv, will only, quote, drag out the armed conflict, unquote. The U.S. has vowed more advanced rocket systems and munitions to Ukraine. South Korean and U.S. forces launched 8 missiles this morning in response to North Korea's missile launches over the weekend. Those were fired at the water off the east coast of the Korean peninsula. The South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff strongly condemning North Korea's continuous ballistic missile provocations in the region. While in the United Kingdom, Queen Elizabeth II capped off her Jubilee celebrations on Sunday with a surprise appearance on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. The 96-year-old monarch skipped events on Friday and Saturday after experiencing discomfort during the opening parade on Thursday. 6,000 people took part in the carnival procession, which echoed the coronation 70 years ago. The Queen was joined by 3 generations of her family, her son Prince Charles and his wife Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, and Prince William and Catherine, Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and their 3 children. Prince Harry and Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, were absent on Sunday. Entertainment stories ahead. The concert scene in Manila just got more packed. Pop rock band Lainey is set to hold a 3-day concert in the country. And find out which movies and TV shows won big at the MTV Awards. Stay tuned to Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
We have the power to protect Mother Earth, keeping it cleaner and greener, to preserve our one and only home. Powering the good life. Meralco.
Land Bank has always believed that in this country, we have to dream big. And so we learned to build something out of nothing. Improving the quality of life for our people, so that we can keep in step with a brave new world and make our big dreams come true.
Making life sweet is easy dahil 35 pesos SRP lang ang San Miguel flavored beer. Swak sa budget, panalo sa sweetness.
Uy, sweet!
Make life sweet with San Miguel flavored beer.
You're watching CNN Philippines. The NBA Finals series is now tied at 1 each after a 107-88 victory by the Golden State Warriors against Boston Celtics in Game 2. The Warriors pulled off a huge third-quarter run, turning a 2-point halftime lead into a 23-point edge. Game 3 is on Thursday, 9 a.m. Philippine time. Now, before today's matches, coaches and players of both teams ditched their team colors to wear orange shirts that said, "End gun violence." Prior to Western Conference Finals game last month, Warriors coach Steve Kerr spoke to the press to call out lawmakers who are against gun control. This was following the mass shooting at the Uvalde Elementary School in the U.S. state of Texas. In entertainment, we have a new batch of queens set to represent the country on the international pageant stage. Paige Javier returns to give us the details on the Miss World Philippines Coronation Night.
25, Gwendolyn Boniol.
Looks like the second time is the charm for Gwendolyn Forniol of Negros Occidental. The Filipino-French beauty is the new Miss World Philippines after besting 35 candidates at the coronation night on Sunday. Forniol was a crowd favorite all throughout the pageant, bagging 3 special awards and the Best in Evening Wear title. Her main advocacy is to push for equal rights in education for children through her work with non-profit group the Erda Foundation.
Education is the greatest weapon against poverty.
Forniol shares what she thinks was her edge in the pageant this time around.
I think I'm mentally and physically stronger this year. I know more about pageants. Well, there's a reason why I joined a second time. As an advocate of education, I want people to be aware that education is the greatest thing you can give to a child.
Allison Black from Las Piñas City took this year's Miss Supranational Philippines crown. The 23-year-old entrepreneur was also named Best in Swimsuit and Miss Non-Fungible Beauty. Black shared her thoughts on winning and her preparations for the international pageant.
I'm genuinely so shocked, but I'm also really grateful that the organization believes in me, and that's my cue to believe in myself. Now is my time to never be complacent, to always push myself. I'm just going to keep doing what I do and train with my camp.
3 more queens were named on Sunday. Ingrid Santa Maria is Reina Hispano-Americana Filipinas. Miss Eco Philippines 2022 is Ashley Subihana Montenegro, while Beatrice McClellan clinched the Miss Eco Teen Philippines title. Justine Felizarta was named First Princess and Miss World Philippines Tourism, while Cassandra Bermeo Chan was crowned Second Princess and Miss World Philippines Charity. Black will be the first queen competing for the Philippines at the Miss Supranational pageant in Poland next month. Miss World Philippines National Director Arnold Vigafria is confident the new queens can bring glory to the country on the world stage. Paige Javier, CNN Philippines.
Filipino Lainey fans are getting not 1, not 2, but 3 shows from the pop rock band here in Manila. The duo is performing at the Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City on November 11, 12, and 13. Public ticket selling begins Friday, June 10 at 10 in the morning. The fan club pre-sale is set for Wednesday, while the Live Nation PH pre-sale is on Thursday. Heading overseas now, an HBO series and a Marvel blockbuster are among this year's big winners at the MTV Movie and TV Awards. Teen drama Euphoria took the most trophies with 4, including Best Show and Best Performance in a show for Zendaya's role as Rue. It was a double win for the actress, who also starred in Spider-Man: No Way Home. The film nabbed Best Movie and Best Performance in a Movie. Filipino-American stars also took the spotlight with TikToker Bella Porch and Olivia Rodrigo's music documentary capturing a golden popcorn each. And singer-actress Jennifer Lopez received the Generation Award. In an emotional speech, Lopez thanked, quote, "disappointment and failure for teaching me to be strong and my children for teaching me to love." View the full list of winners on cnnphilippines.com. And that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Kini ang simbianan sa RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS. DXKS 1080. Ang inyong Radio Ronda. 5,000 watts. Nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS 1080. Ang inyong Radio Ronda.
We all know that we need to exercise regularly to maintain our physical health, but it's also vital that we exercise our minds too. Studies show that brain exercises can keep our minds sharp and even improve memory and focus, especially as we age. From memory games to learning a new language, we'll talk about the tried and tested ways to boost your cognitive skills. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Just like the different parts of our body, our brain needs to be cared for as well. Our guests are here today to give us tips to boost our brain health. With us is Dr. Vida Michelle Anlacan. She's an adult neurologist and memory disorder specialist from the Medical City and president of Alzheimer's Disease Association of the Philippines. Also with us is Dr. Celi Magpantay. She's a clinical psychologist from the St. Luke's Medical Center. How do we remember how to ride a bicycle? How do we feel all sorts of emotions like joy, sadness, and anger? And how do we breathe without even thinking about it? So our brain is responsible for all of that and more. Now I'll start the discussion with Dr. Michelle. So when it comes to our brain, what role does it play and how important is it for our body?
The brain controls everything. It's the CPU of our body. So without any input from the brain, all the other organs will not function. But there are many parts of the brain. There is the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. And the brainstem is the one responsible for vital functions, the very basic functions like breathing, heart rhythm, swallowing, and the like.
Now, Dr. Celi, when it comes naman to our brain as that of our emotions, as a source for our emotions, is our brain pretty much the reason for what personality a person has?
There are a lot of study that shows that there's a specific part of the brain that is responsible for our personality and emotional regulation, particularly the hypothalamus or the limbic system. So it's really a complex process where a person can differentiate, distinguish behaviors and emotions at the same time.
Now let's talk about when the brain is damaged, because when we experience maybe a fall or something traumatic like a car accident or even whiplash injuries, it can cause damage to our brains. Dr. Vida, let's first talk about traumatic injuries and how can this affect our brain?
Traumatic brain injuries are blows or bumps to the head causing injury to the brain. It may be very mild, like for example, when you hit your head in a cabinet door or the car door with only a few seconds of loss of consciousness. But sometimes it can be really severe, like when you get into a vehicular accident and you have a prolonged loss of consciousness or you have coma. So So immediately you need to be treated for this, no, for brain swelling. And then later on, you have to be guided as to what rehabilitative measures should be done, like speech therapy and cognitive training. In Southeast Asia, the number one cause is due to road traffic collisions. No? But other causes, especially in the elderly, are falls. So these should be avoided at all costs.
Now, Dr. Michelle, aside from traumatic injuries, what other forms of injuries can our brain sustain?
You can have strokes, you can have blood clots, you can have direct lacerations to the brain. So a lot can happen. Remember, the brain is a very gelatinous soft structure and it's encased in like a hard plastic. So imagine shaking it. So there's a lot of damage to the brain that happens when we have head injuries.
Now, a person's symptoms will depend on the cause and the location on where their brain was injured or damaged, but it can cause cognitive effects for months or even years after that injury. Dr. Selly, what are some of these problems, especially when it comes to cognition with our brains? First of all, let's talk about what is cognition.
Cognition is a process where we use our facility, the higher order facility. So for example, when a person do problem solving, executive functioning, even as simple as memorizing and memory and execution of our language, these are components of our cognition. So when a person is suffering from mild to severe cognitive problems, you would notice there's a deterioration of this functionality. So it varies also from person to person and what parts of the brain is damaged. Usually, for example, with stroke, the most affected area is language.
Talking about that damage, one of the cognitive effects of brain injury that we want to shed light on is aphasia or language loss. Dr. Michelle, when we talk about aphasia, what part of the brain is usually involved in this, and what are the more common causes for it?
So aphasia usually affects the dominant lobe of your brain. So for most people, that is the left brain. So aphasia is a condition that affects how you understand, how you speak, and how you communicate. The most common cause is brain damage from a stroke. So it affects the part of the brain that is responsible for understanding and speech. But there are other causes like head injury and neurodegenerative disorders that affect the language network, such as primary progressive aphasia, which is a form of dementia. So definitely getting old also increases our risk for these conditions.
You bring up a good point, and there are parts of our brain. You mentioned the left side of our brain is that of that controls our language. Can you talk about some other parts of the brain, the right side, the front, and the back as well?
The dominant lobe, which is the left, the frontal, the parietal, temporal, and occipital, they are mostly responsible for our speech and understanding. So if that left side of the brain is injured, so we have aphasia, and usually they coincide with weakness over the right face, arm, and leg. So we identify that as a stroke. The other side of the brain is also important for daily living. Musicality is there, or other functions. For a small percentage of people, the right side is the dominant brain.
Now, language loss can affect everyone differently. It can be very mild, or it can be so severe that communication with a patient is almost impossible. Speech therapy can significantly improve this condition. And today, there are many helpful tools like computers to allow people living with the condition to communicate effectively. As we get older, we might notice some lapses in our memory and our focus, but a few simple exercises can boost one's cognition. More on this when we return. We're your partner in healthcare. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk.
San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement. Gama sa Davao, para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement. Ato ni Bay.
Protektahi ang imong mga mata batok sa delikado ug makadaot nga ultraviolet nga silaw sa adlaw ug uban pa. Pinaagi sa pagsulob og eksakto nga prescription sa antiyohos o antipara. Likay ang mga simptomas sama sa hanap nga pananaw sa layo o duol nga basahon, sakit sa ulo ug uban pa nga makaapekto sa atong kahimsog nga ang hinungdan depekto sa atong mga mata. Alang sa kumpleto nga primary eye care, contact lenses, fashion eyewear, computer eyeglasses, sunglasses, accessories ug uban pa, adto kita sa AG Buñuel Optical Clinic. Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic nagpahinumdum kanato nga ang kahimsog sa atong mga mata usa ka prioridad nga angay ipa-check up kausa matag tuig aron pagsiguro nga luwas kita sa piligrong mga sakit. Pinaagi sa lisensyado og qualified optometrists nga maoy mo prescribe sa eksaktong kagamitan ug kung primary eye care ang paghisgutan. Duaw lang silang buhatan sa 3636 sa Nicolas Street, Surigao City ug adunay ilang extension office sa Aurelianida Street, Cantilan, Surigao del Sur. Ayaw kalimti higala, AG Buñuel Optical Clinic.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic doon na branch dito sa lungsod sa Dapa sa may Lupis Haina Street, Poblasyon Dapa, Surigao del Norte.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic dinhi sa siyudad ng Surigao no transfer na sa bag-ong location sa Nicolas Street, Ragyahapon, tapad sa Garcia Hotel at Bang sa Unicity.
For everything that's true, count on GS and Blue. The true things come your way, yeah. In your life you have a son. So choose not. Sabading ng barkada, GS and Blue ang kasama. Reach out, GS and Blue. Choose what's true. Okay lang to make mistakes. Kung sa sarili, totoo at hindi fake. Dahil ito ang GS and Blue.
Drink responsibly. Choose to chill and enjoy the true flavors of Mojito, Margarita, Gin Pomelo, and Cosmopolitan with GSM Blue. Drink responsibly.
Ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated na sa ilang bagong location sa Dalan, Burgos, ning atong syudad. Mahimo niyong tawagan sa telephone number 231-7478 or 826-3663. Mga produkto nga inyong mapalit, genuine, Makita Power Tools sama sa planer, drill, grinder, Triton Paints, construction supplies, angle bars, flat bars, GI pipes, automotive spare parts, Firefly electrical devices sama sa switches, bulbs ug outlets. Adto ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated sa ilang bagong pwesto sa Dalan, Burgos ning syudad. Makahangyo ka o makabarato pagyod diha sa Riverside Parts Master Incorporated.
Sipon plus baradong ilong na may kasamang pananakit ng ulo? Pre, ba't ka nagtitiis? Kung meron namang Calabo Premium Rub, Calabo Premium Rub, isang pahid lang, nanunuot ang sarap sa pakiramdam sa ulo, ilong at sarap sa may ginhawa. Tandaan, basta sipon na may kasamang sakit ng ulo at baradong ilong, magpahid lang ng Calabo Premium Rub. Mabisa, kaya sigurado. Gawa ng Gesser Marketing. Mabibili na ngayon sa mga butika. Ang kapinghot sa ilong nga imong giantos, hasol kaayo kini, hilabi na kung apilan ng pagsipon nga lisod tang tangon. Sulay higala ang gahom sa Calabo Premium Rub. Ipahid palibot sa imong ilong. Aron ang gahom sa Calabo Extract inubanan sa malunggay and virgin coconut oil manuhot-suhot kini. Calabo Premium Rub, ang sulbad sa pinghot nga ilong. Calabo Premium Rub is a quality product of Gesser Marketing.
RPN Radio Philippines Network Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Today, we're talking about brain exercises for a sharper and healthier brain for you. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome back to MedTalk Health Talk, where caring is our calling. In order to care for our minds, we must first need to take care of our bodies. Dr. Sally, let's talk about how lifestyle can impact our brain, specifically certain things that people might be doing that can cause harm to our brain.
Lifestyles, of course, includes our diet, okay, also with exercises. Now, just like any parts of our body, the brain is very sensitive to all the foods and lifestyle problems that we're encountering, like alcohol, substance use. So if a person wanted to have a healthy brain and memory, we always have to start with creating a better lifestyle. Plus, of course, enhancing our sleep. There's a lot of studies also that prove that memory is also considered a very good factor if a person is sleeping well. So proper sleep, avoiding stress, eating the right food, and maintaining a healthy diet is a very good way to have a healthy mind and a healthy body as well.
For someone who follows a lifestyle, let's say, of heavy alcohol drinking, heavy substance abuse, recreational drug use for whatnot, and they stop, can there be permanent changes in the brain?
Of course, a lot of clinical study have linked that those abusive substances, alcohol, have a long-term impact on the brain. Like, for example, prolonged use of alcohol, we have a syndrome Lor-Korsakoff, which is related to memory loss over time. There's a lack of the vitamin, the thiamine in the brain. And also with the drugs, when a person uses drugs over time, their brain cells is also damaged. So there's a cognitive effect which resonates with the abuses of the substance in the body of the person.
Now, a brain-healthy lifestyle includes, of course, exercising regularly, not smoking, not drinking, getting enough rest, and maintaining a healthy and balanced diet. Now, there are even certain foods that can boost our memory. We'll talk more about that later on the show. As we mentioned, brain exercises can help keep our mind sharp. Now, Dr. Michelle, what exactly, when we talk about brain exercises, what kind of exercises are we talking about here, and what kind of benefits can we see?
So I think you're talking about brain stimulating activities. So it can be any new activity for that matter. They increase your cognitive reserve or your neural network. It enables your brain to have more connections with other brain cells, and a big and extensive network gives you a better fallback or reserve in case one part of your brain gets damaged. No? So you can have activities like reading, conversation, puzzles, even Sudoku. But online resources have expanded enormously due to the pandemic, and there are more and more things to do online. So you just have to be open to try new things and find what is suitable for you.
Now, Dr. Selly, Dr. Michelle mentioned about being open to try new things. This can be actually daunting for a lot of people because there's a certain comfort zone people have knowing what they know. And venturing out, trying to learn something can be daunting. But this can actually improve their overall brain function, cognitive function, overall well-being. What can you say about this?
I want to support what Dr. mentioned. No, it's very important as we age, our brain functioning also deteriorates in time because the nerve cells or the brain cells are getting older. So proper stimulation, the brain activities will enhance our brain to a better cognitive reserve as mentioned. So lifelong learning is a trend right now. Elderly or even those who are adult who wanted to experience a new challenge, they can try. They can find simple ways. It doesn't have to go to school or read a lot of information or article. No. New things, like for example, as simple as baking, learning new specific skills, computer skills, this can also trigger or enhance our learning. So it can also not be content on the other life skills, which will help also the brain to be stimulated and activated because there's a new information that needs to be embraced and learned.
Dr. Michelle, you mentioned several activities that may enhance someone's brain health, cognition. But a key factor here, which a lot of studies mention, is the effort needed to do this. Dapat daw mahirap, may challenge ito. How can this be properly assessed in terms of it being beneficial, this new thing that we're trying to learn? Pag masyado madali, will this still be effective?
It has to be at the edges of your comfort zone for you to be able to be stimulated. But I don't want to downplay the role of physical activity. So it's not just mental stimulation that you need to do. You need to also be physically active. That's why before we used to say that ballroom dancing is the best because not only are you physically engaged, but also you're trying to think of what is the next move. So that's very, very good. No? But I cannot downplay the factor of physical activity because anything that boosts blood flow around your body will also boost blood flow to your brain. brain. So it also prevents brain diseases and heart diseases like stroke, memory problems. So the increasing blood flow not only delivers more oxygen and more nutrients to your brain, but it also washes away toxins and wastes from our brain cells.
Now, Dr. Michelle, you also mentioned how all of these improve our brain health, trying to push back dementia. And specifically, you talked about Alzheimer's disease. What do we know now about Alzheimer's disease? What can you share with our viewers?
What we know now is that we can try to delay the onset of it. We can try to skirt it. So meaning you have to control your vascular risk factors. Like if you have hypertension, diabetes, obesity, then you have to do something about it. Then physical inactivity is something that you have to improve. Hearing loss in midlife, if you're hard of hearing, you have to get a hearing aid or you have to improve that and get that checked. No? So having a good social network and support group will also help a lot.
Now, we all know living a healthy lifestyle can improve your overall physical well-being, but it can also significantly improve your brain health as well. More tips on how to boost your cognitive skills when we return. Your health is our mission here on NetTalk Health Talk. We'll be right back.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement, gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement, ato ni Bay.
Maayong balita sa tanan sa atong panginahanglan sa panimalay, mga gamit, ingon man mga dekorasyon, pwede na natong mapalit diha sa Wellington Bazaar. Anausab sa Wellington Bazaar ang mga bistidahon, karsunison, plain t-shirt, plastic chair, floor mat, mantel, banig, folding bed, habol, mosketero, trapal, lideret, basketball, stuffed toys ug mga dulaan sa bata. Ang Wellington Bazaar ana magalagad kanato sa Dalan Kaimo ning Dakbayan sa Surigao. Wellington Bazaar, gikan sa mga kawani ug tigdumala sa Wellington Bazaar. Mayong adlaw alang kaninyo. Wellington Bazaar, sukion ta sa kanunay.
GSM Blue ang kasama.
Okay lang to make mistakes kung sa sarili totoo at hindi fake.
Dahil ito ang GSM Blue.
Drink responsibly. Choose to chill and enjoy the true flavors of Mojito, Margarita, Gin Pomelo, and Cosmopolitan with GSM Blue. Drink responsibly.
Uy, Day! Naunsa man ka, Day?
Day, kanang sunang buka kita, Day. Uy!
Sus, naunsa ba ka? Uy nga, katong niaging bulan. Okay pa man ka. Naunsa di karon?
Laot siguro ni si unit aning cellphone kanang si computer, Day.
Da, mo lagi na akong ingon ba? Uy, Day, nakoy balita para sa imuha. Gamit og Lutein Plus, uy.
Lutein Plus?
Oo, tungod ang Lutein Plus, Day, duna kini 13 ka ingredients. Hindi lang kini para sa mata, kundi sa imuhang tibuok lawas. Nga maka-assist pod sa imuhang anxiety ug depression.
Ang Lutein Plus o sa ka-award-winning brand nga gikan pa sa New Zealand.
The award-winning supplements from Clean Green, New Zealand Omega Plus ang support sa heart and blood system. Ang Lutein Plus ay 13 ka mga ingredients, lakip ng vitamins A and C. Dili lamang kung maradyaw sa itong pananaw, nagsuporta sa bini sa ato intero lawas. Ning panahon nga diyari kita kuman sa COVID-19 pandemic, kinahanglan magpabilin kitang himsog inom sa Lutein Plus, Omega Plus, and Primrose Plus of Gel. Inintanan available din sa New Family Drug, Palma Drug, sa Aquarian Pharmacy.
Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Maayo kini alang sa mga naganto sa high blood. Kung perming kasakit ang imong tangkugo, kung masobraan ka og kaon sa mga lami ang pagkaon, basig ning tukar na ang imong high blood. Pagtumar higala og kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Usa ka capsule bago mo gaon aron siguradong protektado kang kanunay. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Masaligan og siguradong epektibo batok sa high blood. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric. Kalabo with garlic plus lemongrass and turmeric is a quality product of Jesser Marketing.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao. Member kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
We all know that we need to exercise regularly to maintain our physical health, but it's also vital that we exercise our minds too. Studies show that brain exercises can keep our minds sharp and even improve memory and focus, especially as we age. From memory games to learning a new language, we'll talk about the tried and tested ways to boost your cognitive skills. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and welcome to MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Just like the different parts of our body, our brain needs to be cared for as well. Our guests are here today to give us tips to boost our brain health. With us is Dr. Vida Michelle. When we say that we are burnt out, overworked, and whatnot, what is actually happening to our brains?
Just like our body, when we're overworked, more than the 40 hours required for a day, our brain also decline in function. There's a lot of study across Europe and Australia that talks about overworking hours had a very strong negative effect on cognitive performance. You would notice there's a decline in the performance, productivity, sense of reasoning, even focusing and attention is already impaired. And there's a lot more deteriorations on the memory, like lapses already. So you know that too much work, physical, both mental exhaustion is bad for our health over time.
Now, this is why when we find ourselves burnt out, it's vital to take a moment to relax and give ourselves that much needed rest. Me time, as they say. Now, Dr. Michelle, give us some tips on how to find that balance between challenging our brain to make it improve, but at the same time, not overwork it and cause too much stress hormones to overpopulate our brain.
So definitely you should have protected time for rest and sleep. So you can't keep working 24/7. The brain will not be efficient that way. So you have to prioritize your tasks and you have to have protected time for sleep because the brain cleans itself when we sleep. So there is evidence that lack of good quality sleep will really lead to more accumulation of abnormal proteins that will lead to dementia in later life. So we have to protect our sleep time and rest time.
But Dr. Michelle, when it comes to taking care of our brain, of course, it comes along that we talk about nutrition. What are the tried and tested food as well as vitamin supplements that are known really to be healthy for our brain?
We have to make sure that we're eating a well-balanced diet. No? If you are not eating a well-balanced diet, then you really need your supplementation with your vitamins and minerals. And sometimes we really advocate this for the elderly or the very young because they may have problems with absorption. But it starts with a healthy and well-balanced diet and physical exercise. So they are the cornerstones for brain health and function.
Now, a lot of foods will talk about antioxidant properties that may help decrease damage to certain cells. Dr. Sally, is there any truth to this? Are antioxidants really a significant player in brain health and trying to prevent damage?
Researchers have linked on anti-inflammatory foods, antioxidant, and fish oil like omega is very good for the brain. Now, we know this as like a brain foods. But on the other hand, I wanted to add, aside from what mentioned earlier by Dr. Michelle, engaging in yoga, meditations, and a mindfulness activity can also boost our brain, to make it more holistic in taking care of the memory and elasticity over a period of time.
Now, with the right nutrients and good proper exercise, you can live a long and healthy life. A healthy body leads to a healthy mind. Thank you, neurologist Dr. Vida Michelle Anlacan and clinical psychologist Dr. Sally Magpantay for being with us today. We appreciate your time and your insights. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and we'll see you again next time on MedTalk Health Talk.